slightly scary.
Yeah. Are you very good at detecting that in your loved one when, you know, it's a certain...
No, I think
grumpy day?
I think I'm like most blokes. I don't understand when you get cross and grumpy. I don't know why you're cross and grumpy. I don't know if you're cross and grumpy with me. If you are, I don't know why.
Why?
Do you notice?
Oh, yeah, I notice it. But the joy, I think, of getting older is it just doesn't matter so much. I just don't... And eventually you'll tell me. If it is me that's done something wrong, you'll tell me.
Right. Are you good about being sort of upfront with your feelings? We were just talking about that as well, about whether it's good to tell somebody that you like them.
I'm certainly better than I used to be. I'm of that generation of men. I mean, when I was at school, I remember, like, if you fancied someone, it would take you about 3 months to ask.
Yeah.
And then you would say, like, you fancied them. And if they rejected you, it was like, ah! It was the worst thing in the world. You were going to die.
Would you have appreciated girls being upfront and letting you know that they did?
Oh, yes, please, so much. Very. Yeah, because, again, I think still, even today, most blokes think that they've got to initiate all the business. And if somebody else does, it just kind of takes the pressure off you. It's just, it's lovely.
No,
absolutely not at all.
I think men should do it.
I know, but it's awful. Do you remember those poor guys at the disco when they used to pluck up the courage and walk, and then girls would go, no, thank you. And they had that walk of shame back. Well, that's how you ended up with Red.
No, I always dance with them, even if they look like Quasimodo.
Did you? Aww,
yeah, because I felt sorry for them.
Yeah,
but, I think it's nice for the man and the woman. You know, women are turning into blokes. I don't like it. Anyway,
your career has sort of really diverged, hasn't it? I mean, it's gone from the acting very heavily into the presenting world. Is there one that you prefer over the other?
No, I didn't really mean it to happen. It just kind of happened. It was after I'd done Comic Relief. I made a number of documentaries for Comic Relief, and I really enjoyed it. And I'd been a child actor, you know, since I was about 13, and I was, you know, maybe 40 by that time. And suddenly to be in documentaries where you had control of what you were doing, and like this show, you could actually say what you felt rather than what the scriptwriter wanted to say. I found that enormously liberating. But I've just done an episode of Hotel Babylon, which I just loved.
Did you?
I love that. So camp, isn't it? I love it.
It's such fun.
It's quite unusual, though, isn't it, for an actor to be an actor, and people go into acting, don't they, so they can be someone else as opposed to themselves. And you actually really love being on TV as yourself.
Yeah, to be honest, I think that, though, even when you're being yourself on telly, you kind of know it's a bit of a construct. I mean, yes, you are all yourselves and you look very natural, but you're also pros and you're kind of doing it a bit like when you did your bit just now. You know, it was you being you, but it was like
without all the
in inverted
blinding.
commas slightly.
Yes. Without all the sweary words.
That's right.
So yeah, but I do love I love making documentaries, and I go to all over the world now in a way that most actors don't because they're tied down in a studio. It's a fabulous job.
Are you doing more Time Team?
Yeah. I've just been out to America. They've bought Time Team America out there, and they've created their own Time Team. And for me, you know, I'd been with our Time Team for 16 years.
16 years?
Yeah. Imagine what it would be like if you went down your street and went into your house and you saw the people you normally see, except they weren't really you. They were Americans pretending to be to be the rest of the team. And that was what it was like when I was suddenly confronted by the American Time Team. And there's the one who's like Phil Harding, our one with the the hair.
Yeah.
He's an American Indian, an incredibly tall American Indian with a cowboy hat. And there's a woman digger who's covered in tattoos and piercings.
Oh,
they're brilliant.
And do they just sort of want your take on it, or did they want you to...
they won't use me out in America because, you know, like an awful lot of those things that you see on National Geographic, they tend not to have presenters. But what they've done, they've got me to introduce it and top it and tail it for a British audience and for the Australians and the people who buy Time Team over here.
You love your history, don't you?
Oh, God, it's fabulous. I don't understand why anybody wouldn't. I mean, how do you know who you are unless you know where you came from? Everything that's all around us is... There is a history to it, and that's why it is.
And what's this survey that's come out? Is it something about our favourite moments in history?
Yeah, Hovis, the bread maker, they're going to do this incredibly long commercial, 122 seconds, one commercial, starting in the middle of Corrie on Friday, that's all about history and celebrating British history over the last 100 years.
Right.
So in order to promote it, they did this survey of what ordinary people thought were the most interesting moments in British history.
Top 20 or a top...
Top 10 they did.
Top 10,
yeah,
right.
What was the greatest moment?
the end of World War II, which I suppose isn't that surprising, but what did surprise me was that World War I doesn't appear at all. It's as though it really is beginning to shift out of our consciousness as something that was very important to us.
And is it what sort of on the more modern side were they sort of in the list?
What have we got? Oh, predictably, the World Cup of 1966. We're still banging on about that 40 years later.
Time to let that one go.
Yeah,
really,
I think so, yeah. Number 2 was When Women Got the Vote, which is possibly not surprising. Number 3 is the invention of the World Wide Web by Timothy Berners-Lee in what's that? Well, it was a few years ago now, anyway. But I thought that was really interesting because I don't think of that as a historical moment. Absolutely. It's just like a kind of thing that lurched into our
lives. Was Corrie in there as well? Was it the first step of Corrie?
Yes, the first step of Corrie came in at number 10. But given that the ad's appearing on Corrie, I'm slightly little dubious about that. But what they missed out, 2 things they missed out, which I thought were really important. One was the start of the National Health Service, which kind of really defines us almost more than anything else in Britain. I mean, we moan about it a lot, but if you think of most other countries, they just ain't got... Or the presidential elections that are going on at the moment, they're banging on about how on earth are we going to provide free health care for our people. Well, the Yanks failed. We did it in 48. Yes! Sorry, I don't know where that came from.
Not that you're politically minded in any way.
But got your period toes.
Yes,
What's the other thing that's missing? Because I see Princess Diana's not on there either.
No, Princess... well, they are supposed to be sort of, you know, moments to celebrate. But the one for me as like a pop fan that I thought was missing was... Bill Haley getting to number 1 with Rock Around the Clock in 1955, because prior to that, the big hit had been Hernando's Hideaway. Do you remember that? No. Oh, you must!
How does it go?
I know a dark, secluded place where no one even knows your face. It's called Hernando's Hideaway. Oh, let you...
I thought it was called Fernando.
Oh, you might be right. No, I think it's... But anyway, I mean, it was a great song, but it's so much of another time. Then suddenly, this big, fat, white bloke called Bill Haley comes along with Rock Around the Clock. And nothing is ever the same again. Well, certainly that's how it felt to me. So I was surprised that wasn't there. Beatlemania is there. That's at number 8.
We are running out of time, but just quickly, any chance of any more Blackadder stuff?
I don't know. We always say that we'll meet again in the year 2010. You know how, like, when you left school and you all said, oh, we'll meet in Trafalgar Square in 10 years' time, and nobody goes except the sad person.
That's going to be you.
It's going to be me at Television Centre in 2010, waiting for Hugh Laurie, but he's still over in the States making a lot of money.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Cheers,
Tony Robertson, everyone. That's it up for this lunchtime. Join us tomorrow. Sir Cliff Richard will be here 12:30.
Next here on UTV, it's the lunchtime ITV News and Weather, which will be followed by local UTV News and Weather. Then Terry Dwyer and her dream team will be transforming homes in 60-minute makeover.